God, it's chronic. We learn, it's all learning. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome for the first time if you're new here. Today I'm talking you through the 10 mistakes that I made, or that I have made so far in my video YouTube journey. I guess the point of this video is just to show that not everyone who's doing this knows everything they're doing, and we're not perfect. And I guess just to maybe inspire people who are thinking of doing these things and need a bit of encouragement, and maybe you could also learn from my mistakes and not do these things, or do them and learn for yourself. But it's just to kind of give inspiration and just to talk through these things. And I think for me as well, it's a bit of learning and reflection, so I think it could be an interesting exercise. Before we get into it, I would love if you subscribed down there. And now let's get into the 10 mistakes I've made since starting my video journey. So number one is the time I waited to start my video journey. I first had an idea to do something online, whether a blog or a video or whatever, in October 2016. I didn't upload a first video until February 2019. Oh my God, I think about this quite often, and it just makes me so sad that I waited so long, because I'm just like, imagine the place I could be now if I had started way back then. And it just makes me so sad thinking of all the time I spent worrying what other people thought and all the excuses I made, and I'm just like, oh, why didn't I just start when I wanted to, and now it's like, well, I was gonna do it anyway. Fair enough if I had never started it at all, but I'm like, well, I started it eventually anyway, so why didn't I just start when I first had the feeling? Why did I put it off for so long? On the flip side of that one though, and it makes me feel slightly better about waiting so long to start, was that in those 2.5 years that I delayed, I obviously learned so much about life and myself, and also feminism. I always think, there are things even now that I said in videos 2 years ago that maybe I wouldn't say now, but I think God, if I had made videos 5 years ago when I was way more ignorant and way less knowledgeable, would I be really embarrassed with those videos now? Or would it be a nice journey and growth, and I could say, oh well, I didn't know that now, but now I do. Is that a good thing? I don't know. But I think, I learned so much in those 2.5 years that prepared me then for when I did go do it. So maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, but also putting something off for 2.5 years is chronic. So yeah, don't wait that long. Especially when you're gonna do it one day anyway, don't wait that long. Second mistake, on a very practical level, windows open. Really funny, and I always wanna just include this because my first 2 videos ever, I left the windows open, and again, it just speaks to the growth that you make, because now, before I start videos, there are certain things I do, I close the windows, I blah, 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 I do this. And it's just so funny, my first 2 videos, it didn't occur to me, because I didn't know enough yet to close the windows, because there was so much sound in the background. And I also didn't know then on the editing side how to get rid of background music yet. That took me a while to figure out. So yeah, close your windows. Make sure that there is no sound getting in that does not need to be there. Another practical one is daylight, daytime, sunlight. Record your videos early in the day. Guys, just do it. Don't put it off. Don't say, oh, I have all day. Sure, you don't. Eventually it gets dark and it is too late to record your video if you want nice lighting. This has happened to me way too many times, more than I care to remember, where I'm like, oh no, I have all day. I'll watch a show, or I'll spend extra long researching. And then depending on what time of the year it is, if it's winter, you only have till about 4 o'clock, which is awful. Summer, you might have until 9 p.m. until the light really starts getting bad. So yeah, just record the video early, but not too early, because then you wake up and you're puffy eyes and you're sleepy. But as soon as you can, as soon as you're ready, record the video. Mistake number 4, a big one. Oh, and again, I'm hesitant to call them mistakes, because we learn. It's all learning. Positive, positive, positive. But going on Facebook first before YouTube. So me, and I actually did a whole kind of separate video with this, I'll link it down below. But I basically spent a year uploading videos to Facebook first, and then eventually moving to YouTube. And the whole year I was like, I feel like I should be on YouTube. And I had this nagging feeling, I feel like I should be on YouTube. But then I was so embarrassed about switching over and it being confusing, and it being known that I had made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. And now, I'm so thankful I did, because if I now decided 2.5 years, and then I'd have 2.5 years of videos to transfer over, or it would have been really bad. But after 1 year, I was just no, Lauren, transfer to YouTube. This is what you've wanted to do from the very beginning. This is what you know you should do. And basically what kills me is that the reason I went and did videos on Facebook was because there was 2 creators that I thought, and I still follow them, I love them so much. They basically got their start on Facebook, like when it was really trying to like push videos. They're like so famous now, so successful, like amazing. And I actually DM'd the one of them, and I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm thinking I want to do videos. Should I do YouTube or Facebook, whatever? And her answer straight away was Facebook, easier to grow. And at the time I was really like, oh, which one should I do? And I was kind of looking for someone to make the answer for me. So I was just like, Grant, that's it, Facebook, done. And throughout the year, I was just in severe denial, and I knew it was the wrong mistake at the very beginning. And after a while, I was really Googling it and like adding up the pros and cons, and I was just like, why am I on YouTube? And what kills me is now that person who gave me that advice is also on YouTube. Oh! I like only realized they now upload like videos on both platforms. And I only realized a few months ago, and I was just like, oh my God, they are also on YouTube. Like, thank God I made the switch off my own accord. Like I made the switch even before I said that they were on YouTube, but that just cemented for me that I was right to go to YouTube and not Facebook. Oh, awful. Again, I have that video linked down below that you can watch to see more of my reasoning behind YouTube, or moving to YouTube and not doing on Facebook. But yeah, that's a biggie. That is upsetting, but here we are. Mistake number 5, very practical one. Not charging your camera. Oh my God, nothing worse than when you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I physically look ready. I've done my research. I have my computer. Everything's ready to go. There's light. It's perfect, whatever. Camera isn't charged. And you're like, I had one job. Charge the camera, make sure there's battery. And nothing worse than when you're like, say, 5 minutes into a video, you're on a roll, you're in the moment, you're vibing, you're flowing, and then it's like, shut off. It just shuts off, battery gone, and you're like, oh my God. And you're like, and this actually happened before where it's been getting dark outside. This goes back to mistake number 3. But literally you're like racing against the clock, and you're charging a bit, and then you're thinking, okay, this will do me now. You go back to record, you record another few minutes, goes again. You go back to charging, oh, wait a while, oh, okay, go back to recording. This has happened to me, again, more times than I care to remember. Ridiculous. Charge your camera, number 1. Even if you're not sure you're gonna record that day, charge it, because it'll still save for the next day. And then you won't have to think about it, just charge your camera. Mistake number 6, which I'm embarrassed to say, I still have not yet mastered. And that is, don't research, record, and edit all on the same day. Like, it is so stressful to get it all out on the same day. And then you might even like share it across your social networks and upload it on the same day. Like, try and spread it out, because it just makes the process so much more joyful, which it should be, because we're here, because I'm here because I enjoy doing these things. But when you literally have left it to the last minute, and you're scripting, you're researching, which is tough. Like, when you're, depending on what kind of videos you're doing, if they're really like, you want to get it right, and you want it to be like respectable and trustworthy, like you want to get it right. So that's gonna take you a while. Then obviously like getting ready and filming, that takes a bit out of you. And then obviously editing takes ages, and doing your thumbnail and uploading, whatever. Like, don't do it all in one day, and try and spread it out. If you're scripting and editing, you do that on the weekends, you do that when it's dark. That doesn't depend on the day, like, say filming does. Also, editing doesn't depend on the time of day. So, and so just, yeah, try and spread it out. Just make it a more joyous, more calm process. If I ever figure it out and manage to do that, I will let you know. But as of right now, I still basically always do those all on the same day. So there we are. Mistake number 7, which is really interesting, and again, only one that I'm starting to really think about lately, is this whole notion of recycling content. So I literally, and I really don't still, but I never recycled content. And this basically means that, I would upload a video to YouTube, and then all that information would just be on YouTube, and I would literally like delete the script off my computer. I'd be like, oh, well, I did a video on it, so I can't use that information again, because people will think that I am stuck for content. I think that I'm being lazy, and I don't want to, do more research, all this stuff. Or I'm thinking, oh well, if they see it on my YouTube, then if they also see it on my blog or my Instagram, they're just gonna be like, oh my God, like, will she ever shut up? And all of this is so silly for so many reasons. 1, someone might miss your YouTube video, but they might see your Instagram. So why not put the content on both platforms? 2, everybody does this. Everybody does this. It's a completely normal thing. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're unimaginative or uncreative. Like, everyone does this. And also, it makes you more credible. Like, the more you talk about the same kind of topic, the more trustworthy you are on that topic, because people think, well, she's talked about that before and now here she is talking about it again, so this must mean she's really into it, she's really, yeah. Whereas if you're, like I was doing, and it's basically Salam, you're constantly jumping from different topic to different topic, like, people don't know what you're about, they don't know who you are, what they can like trust you with. If you're just like hopping to topic from topic to topic with no real depth, you know, what are they gonna think? So that's a big one. Recycle your content, spread it around, and also it is better for you. Like, it saves you hassle, it saves you time, it saves you stress. Like, do the work once and spread it out across all your platforms, like, if you can, because it's not only good for you, but it's also good for humanity. If you're spreading good content, good stuff, like, why not spread it to as many people as possible on all the different platforms? Like, oh, it only makes sense, and I don't know why it's taken me so long to realize that. Mistake number 8, and again, one I'm still working on, is not paying attention to SEO. So SEO is search engine optimization, and this basically just means that, you know, you're putting the effort into your video to make it get seen. So, and again, I really don't know enough about this, which is the mistake. So like, I know for YouTube, you know, it's things like the wording you use in the title of the video, in like the bio, or like the, you know, the about section of the video. It's, you know, the tags you use kind of behind the scenes when you're, you know, uploading the video. It's all this stuff. You know, it's combining it with your thumbnail. It's all this stuff. And there's one person that I follow that I think is great, that really talks with this a lot, is Janet Newnham. She's a fellow YouTuber, she's great. And she recommended a tool called TubeBuddy, which I now use, and it helps just, I guess, you know, figure out what tags you should use, like what like title you should use for your video, whether that's a title that's been used before, whether people search for that title, whether that would be, you know, easily findable or not, and all this stuff. So it's really interesting. And yeah, SEO is just one that we all need to pay so much more attention to, and Janet really shows like the power of it on her channel, I feel, and she really is like strategic and puts time into like how her videos will be found, because after all, YouTube is owned by Google, which is a search engine, so you have to make your stuff searchable and findable, and oh, it's really interesting. So yeah, another mistake that I'm trying to work on, SEO. It's important. Mistake number 9, which again is a new thing and I think it's really interesting, is my thumbnails. So every single week, I would do a different thumbnail. And my rationale was that, again, if I do a similar thumbnail, people will think I'm lazy, I'm uncreative, you know, like, it would just all look the same, so I need to do a different thumbnail every single week. And looking back, again, just quite silly, but again, it's all learning, this is all learning. It's quite silly because my page just like looked and looks very much, because the majority of my videos have all these thumbnails, it looks crazy. There's all these different colors, all these different fonts and shapes and designs. It looks insane. Why did I think that was good? And it was just literally to prove to everybody else that I wasn't lazy and that I'm not creative. But it looks ridiculous. And this is where honestly the phrase like less is more comes in. So now I basically have like one template for my thumbnails. It saves me time, makes my feed look way nicer and way just more cohesive. And also like, it's about branding. So like if people see that thumbnail, even if before they read who it is or what the topic is, they're gonna know it's me. And if they have a positive connotation with me, they're gonna see that thumbnail design and think, oh yeah, I'll click into this video, because they're used to it, it's familiar. People like things that are familiar. Whereas if they're seeing a different random thumbnail every weekend, they're gonna be like, who is this person? Who is this person showing up on my YouTube? What is she talking about? What is this thumbnail? It looks a mess. And I felt like, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not like amazing at design. I just use Canva and I'm just playing around with stuff. It all looks ridiculous. So it makes sense for me to have just like a plain template that I can just switch out every week with the picture and, you know, the title and the colors and be done. And it just pops. So honestly, that's just a really interesting one. Again, I've only been doing it like a couple of weeks now, so we'll see what I think. Maybe my next video will be saying, oh, I made a mistake doing that and I should change back all the different ones, but who knows? It's an interesting one to think about. And then finally, mistake number 10 is not putting myself out there. So it's really funny how like confidence works, because, you know, someone might look at me and think, oh, I'm confident because I put videos on the internet. But then when it comes to like sharing it across my social platforms and like talking about it in real life, I'm so embarrassed. I'm mortified. I like barely talk about it. Like if you met me on the street for the first time, I definitely would not bring it up. You would not know that I do this. And I see like I do want it to be more a part of my life, but then I get embarrassed when people bring it up, but then I feel like I'm really separate from it then, because people will say like, oh yeah, well she has a YouTube channel, and it feels so separate from my everyday life. Like I want it to be more a part of me, but then I'm not talking about it, I'm not sharing it because I'm embarrassed, and then as a result I'm not growing, and it's ridiculous. And like a few weeks ago I kind of challenged myself to try and get more followers, and I just talked about it more. I sent people a few messages, I posted about it more, and I got the subscribers, and I was just like, oh my god, like if I talk about this even more, I would get even more subscribers. So like this is actually, my embarrassment over and awkwardness is hindering me, so I need to stop. So yeah, that's a big one. And so again, it's just like, you know, you could have all the confidence in the world like uploading your videos, but then you're still like embarrassed then about talking about it, and it's just ridiculous. Like, you know, you think like, well, if you're gonna upload a video, then you have the confidence to talk about it in real life and tell people, but no, it's a tough one. So yeah, hopefully I'm getting over that one little by little, and hopefully it will only mean good things. So that is the 6th video, 10 mistakes that I've made so far in my video journey. I'm sure there'll be a lot more, but again, it's all learning. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know if you make videos with any mistakes you've made, or if you have any tips for me like going forward on any of the things that I've mentioned. That would be super, super helpful. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please do subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Woo! So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!